Good morning. Thank you for coming for the second day of the 6 UOC and the first WOF MENA chapter. I know it's early in the morning. We put a very interesting talk and a very distinguished speaker, so we encourage people to come more and more. Dr. Fatheya Alawadi needs no introduction. She is a consultant in endocrinology that has footprint in the care for diabetes and endocrinology in the United Arab Emirates and in the Gulf region. She's a consultant endocrinologist in Dubai Hospital and the chair of the department. She is the president of the Emirates Society for Diabetes and Endocrinology. She's the chief editor for Dubai Diabetes and Endocrine, and she's one of the members of the National Committee Combat Diabetes and Obesity. It's a pleasure to have her here, and she will be talking to us about obesity in numbers in adults.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, many thanks for the kind introduction, Dr. Mohammed Al Hadad and Dr. Sara. Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this conference. Very successful, and congratulations for both of you for the hard work. I know that we always ask ourselves this question, obesity. Why should we be concerned about obesity? And I'm sure that yesterday you had a full day of insight and learning, and by now you know why we are concerned about obesity. As obesity is a contributor for many health issues, which include type 2 diabetes, hypertension, hypercholesteremia, and also gallstones, as well as cardiovascular disease, stroke, liver disease, cancer, osteoarthritis, and obstructive sleep apnea, plus many more. And if you see this graph from the World Obesity Federation analysis for the high BMI, and as a contributor in percentage in death from leading non-communicable disease between 1990 to 2019, and you will see that the yellow graph, which shows that there's increase in type 2 diabetes, and the red graph, which shows there's increase in cardiovascular disease, and the green show you that there's increase in cancer while the stroke is steady. But that doesn't mean the stroke is not also one of the non-communicable disease which is related to the obesity. And also, if we look at the proportion of death from leading non-communicable disease attributed to high BMI, you will see that the high BMI is very common in the East Mediterranean region as well as in the Southeast Asian region, who are the majority of our residents in United Arab Emirates. And you're going to see that as I present later. And if you look at the global estimate of 2020, we have almost 42% of adults with a high BMI. And the projection of a number of adults from 2025 to 2035, there will be an increase from 46% to 54% with an adult with a high BMI. And if we look at the global versus our EMRO region, which is the East Mediterranean region, you can see in 2020, we had almost 51% of our region have a high BMI, and this is projected to be 2035 to be 61% if you follow the green bars. While if you follow the orange bar, which is the global, we are even more than the global region. Globally it's reported in 2020, 42% of an adult have a high BMI, and by 2035 there will be 54%. Now, Dubai, which is an example of UAE or an example of the GCC, and this is a 100 words picture. 60 years ago, there's massive changes happen in the Emirates of Dubai and in general in UAE. And that, though it was very nice change that happened in our country, but it is at a price. And the price is of our health. There's a high now incidence of pre-diabetes, of diabetes, of also obesity, as well as cardiovascular disease. And the reason for that, because of the change in our lifestyle. We became, less active. We eat all that type of junk food and so on. And now if you look at the risk factor of diabetes and obesity epidemic in the MENA region, as I just mentioned, there's a rapid economic development took place. There's increase in the intake of refined carbohydrate, and the lifestyle changes with decrease in physical activity, the urbanization, which all led to the obesity, type 2 diabetes, impaired fasting, as well as in high blood pressure and a high cholesterol, which means that the MENA region does not differ than GCC, does not differ than UAE, and does not differ than Dubai. We are all exposed to the same environmental factor. Now, if we look at this data from the World Obesity Federation, and we look at the annual growth rate, it is 1.5%, the annual growth rate in projection number for adult with a high BMI between 2020 to 2035. And for children, it is 2.5% of an annual growth, which will be projected between 2020 to 2035, which means 10 years from now, we have almost 15% of our adults will be obese, and up to 25% of our children will be obese. Now, if you look at the early sign of non-communicable disease in children, age 5 to 19 years of age, between 2020 and 2035, a prevalence of children with high BMI in 2020 was 38%, and by 2035 is 49%. And if we look at the death from non-communicable disease due to high BMI in 2019, from all the non-communicable disease, we have more than 7,000 individuals. And majority of this is diabetes, that's what we usually treat, which is almost 1,000, and coronary artery disease, which is up to 2,000, and also stroke, which is up to 1,300. So we need to do something about it. And our leaders in UAE, realized this many years ago when we started putting our national agenda in 2021. And that is, we have also another national agenda up to 2033. And in that national agenda, we had put our goal to reduce non-communicable disease mortality and prevalence of a risk factor based on the global WHO target for 2025. To reduce prevalence of diabetes among adults aged 20 to 79 years, and to reduce prevalence of obesity among children 5 to 7 years of age. So that's already on our national agenda. And there are many initiatives taking place, but still we need to do more. Now, the subsequent presentation of mine will be presenting on two major documents. One is the Dubai Household Survey, which was done in 2019, and I have the privilege to be a member of the task team of that, which is a collaboration between Dubai Health Authority and the Dubai Statistics Center, and it is based on WHO criteria, where we had looked into 5,000 families in the Emirates of Dubai. Half were national, and the half they were non-national. Another part of the presentation will be focused on the document of UAE National Health Survey report of 2017-2018, which was the last report, where they had surveyed 10,000 families, 6,000 were non-national, and 4,000 there were UAE national. And what we have seen in the UAE Mohab National Health Survey of 2017-2018, 29% of our population are having normal weight. 43% they are overweight, and 28% they are obese. And if you look at Dubai data from Dubai Household Survey, 42% have normal weight, 40% overweight, and 18% they are overweight. So just a short while ago I told you 28%, UAE Mohab data shows that is 28%, and Dubai Household Survey is 18%. So why there is a difference between UAE versus Dubai data? Is there is a difference in methodology? In fact, there's no difference in the methodology, but it is the geographical distribution of the nationality who are residents of the Emirates of Dubai. As you are aware, Dubai have more than 270 nationality, and I'm going to show you, how they present it. Now, obesity in Dubai and the nationality, if you see among the UAE national, there are almost 40% of our UAE national are obese. Other Arabs up to 27.7%, among Asian 14.6%, and I have to admit the Asian BMI was not adjusted to their ethnicity, and 21.3% of the Western and others. But as you can see, our UAE national plus our Arabs here, they have 40%, which I told you earlier, which represent also the IMRO region. Now, how about the central obesity in Dubai by nationality? A high waist circumference was 58% among UAE national and 30% among the non-national. Now, how about obesity with the age? As you can see, it's sad to see this. Those between the age of 30 to 39, they have a prevalence of obesity is about 18.9%. And even those who are younger, 18 to 29, their prevalence is about 10.4%. We know for obvious reason as we grow older, the obesity become high. But this is the problem with this age group between 18 to 39, that we need to focus on them because they are the one who's going to accumulate all the cardiovascular risk factor as they grow older. Now, in terms of the obesity in Dubai and the gender, as you can see, female are more obese than male, 21.6% versus male 16.6%, while male are more overweight than female with 41.5 among male versus 34.5 among female. And if you look this to or compare it to UAE Mohab data, it's huge. It's not that much difference. It is again the female are more obese than male, and male are more overweight than the female. Now, also the World Obesity Atlas 2024 had mentioned that they are up. Some of our GCC country and some of our Arab country belong to the the top 20 countries with a high proportion of adult men and women who's living with a high BMI in 2019. For example, like Kuwait, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, as well as Jordan, Turkey, and Libya. Okay, so we are at the top 10 country, but that is not the top thing that we want to win the league for it, right? So now why has obesity increased in Dubai or UAE or the Gulf? You're all aware of this. The type of the food nowadays we eat, the junk food, the order that which come to our doorstep. We all have, I have a 13-year-old child. Every day she will order, they have the accessibility of doing this, and many cafes, many restaurants, as you can see, revolving in this country, plus also the quantity and the portion of the food. You will be seeing this during your lunch break, I'm sure, and your coffee break because of the Arab hospitality. So that's also another thing. And also the sedentary lifestyle that we live with decrease in the physical activity. Now, what we usually need to eat. Now, per the global recommendation, we should have about 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. And now in the Mohab data, when they ask them about the number of the fruits or vegetables they are having per day, the percentage of responder eating less than 5 servings of fruit and vegetable on an average per day were total 82%. And they were no different between Emiratis or non-Emiratis, and they were no different between UAE males or females. While in Dubai household survey, if you follow the blue line, though our physical activity had increased in Dubai because we became more modernized, so we thought, okay, yes, we are doing a little bit of physical activity, so we increased from 20% 29 up to 23% 2019. But parallel to that, we have also obesity is increasing from 24% to 40% in 2019. And the reason why, because our healthy food had declined, our portion or our serving of vegetable had decreased from 53% to 36%. Now, we are all familiar with this slide. Physical activity is the priority to increase energy expenditure. 70 minutes per week is a moderate exercise. 150 minutes per week is a vigorous physical exercise. And 10,000 steps that usually we encourage our people to do. Now, we did, apply this on our Dubai household survey. So we did ask our, population about their physical activity. So those who, we asked them about their moderate intense physical activity, which means that they do 10 minutes spending doing different type of physical activity like household or at work. There were 65% who said we do between 4 to 6 days per week. And 18% do between 1 to 3 days per week. And up to 17% who do daily physical activity, which is, just minimum. And with the vigorous physical activity, like running or playing football for at least 10 minutes continuously, 95% of our population mentioned they don't do. So only there are 5% of our population who are doing an intense physical activity. Now, in the Mohab data, they had asked them about our Mohab survey, they asked them about the facility of physical fitness available. So the percentage of the insufficient physical activity, including those not meeting the WHO criteria, were 70%, and they were more in female than in male, and it was more in Emiratis than non-Emiratis. Now, this is also another, a paper that we had published related to Darmina, type 2 diabetes. I know it is Ramadan paper, but we did ask the population who took part in that study about their physical activity. And those who were physically inactive, they were 22.2%. Those who did low physical activity, they were 41.7%, which means, again, the MENA region is not different than our region as well in Dubai or in UAE, because as I told you earlier, we belong to the same environmental factor. Now, in Mohab data, they went further in their survey, and they started asking their, the people that they visited, availability of a public place which is near to their residence. There's about 60% these are the answer we got from national and non-national. Availability of physical activity time during, working hours. If, our working facility have these, facility, as you can see, is just 20%, whether male or female, national or non-national. Availability of a sidewalk, main road, for example, walking or biking, again, it's only 20%. Availability of gyms close to their residence, most of the time it's far away, so it's around 26%. A personal fee for the subscription in gym, as you know, they are very expensive, and we pay them, and then we don't go and exercise. So that was around 20% among both. And availability of a separate gym for ladies and men. Lots of ladies, they don't prefer to go to the same entrance where the men they do the gym, so that was also around 26%. So there is a challenge in the physical activity in our country. Probably maybe one of it is related to the, the heat and the weather that we have, most of the year. And then it could be related to the, the places where they do the gym, or the availability, or the cost of it, and so on, though the government is doing lots of initiative in that place. So there are many venues that the government had built over the years, whether in Dubai or across UAE, but unfortunately, as you can see, most of the time they are empty. Not when the time we took this picture, but even if you go and visit these places, you will see them empty. So, but it is our role as a healthcare provider, to encourage our patient, and advocate for this, and encourage them to become physically active. Okay, now I want to share with you some of socioeconomic status, which may be, interesting link between obesity and those socioeconomic factors. So let us look at the education, and this is again from Dubai Household Survey. We did ask the patient about, their, learning and education. So those who have less than secondary school learning, then their prevalence of obesity was 15% versus those who had bachelor or above that degree, which was 20% almost. And those who completed secondary school or high school was 17.7%. And probably why? Because those who are less educated, maybe they do more of type of the work they do more of physical activity compared to some people like us who sit in comfortable and nice offices. So that's why the prevalence is higher among highly educated people. Same time, the type of the work, if you are professional, then 22.3% of us are obese. And if you do, if you are elementary or unskilled occupation is 10.4%. And those who do clerical job who little bit move here and there, they are about 16%. So type of our work also, contribute to that. And also the current work. 42% have a high obesity in those who are not working versus those who's working 9.7%. And probably that is because, the housewife, but some of the housewives are lean, but, maybe it's contributed to the being, a housewife or, older generation who are retired, but these are not the only reason for it. It must be their other, reason which contribute to their obesity. Now, this is interesting, the marital state. Now, being single, in our Dubai Household Survey, the prevalence was only 11%. Being married is 20.6%. But please not get me wrong that to remain single, because marriage also have lots of advantage. But probably single is because, they are young age, and they might be also physically active. The married, maybe, they are less active. Or maybe, they got, for a man, maybe they got a wife who really cook good, so that's why they gain weight after they get married. Now, if we look now, if all what I've told you now, if we link what all we've said to diabetes and pre-diabetes, because this is also the core of our problems as well. Now, if you are exercising, then your prevalence of diabetes, what we've seen in our household survey, 8.8%. And if you are not exercising, then your prevalence will double. This is 20%. And also, in the same data, if you look at the BMI in someone who are with a normal weight, the diabetes in someone who are normal weight, then their prevalence is 8.2% versus someone who is obese, where their prevalence of diabetes is double to 21%. So, friends and colleagues, in conclusion, the prevalence of obesity in UAE population is alarming, and the prevalence and strongly related to the age, to the female gender, eating less fruit and vegetable, and also less physical activity. We need an urgent structure plan that can address the large scale of the problem, as well as overdue to halt the progress of the serious health problem. Better eating habits, improve the level of physical activity appear to be key factor, and we need to join collaboration, as we are doing currently, of several stakeholders in order to address this. And the impact of a national figure on increasing physical activity is very important, and there is an initiative by His Highness Crown Prince of Dubai, Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, with Dubai Fitness 3030, which we usually do it in the month of November. And in this, I think he hooked lots of our young generation, whether they are national or non-national, to become physically active in the Emirates. And I look forward to see even more of those physical activity. So with this, I cannot leave this podium without inviting all of you to attend our annual conference, the EDIC, which is going to take place between 8 to 10 Feb 2025 in Dubai World Trade Center. And I would like to leave you with this beautiful picture of the future museum from Dubai, which I call My Dubai. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for very insightful talk. I'm sure there will be questions.
Okay.
If there are any questions from the floor, until that time, I will ask question. So that single status, that's associated with better weight, right? Even after bariatric surgery, this is one of the predictors. So we ask the patients after we do the surgery, get divorced. There is a question from the floor. Please.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. You have amazing data. Can you put your country into context of other countries? How is Dubai? Is Dubai eating less vegetables than UK, US? How does it compare?
I think it is global. It's not just about UAE. Sorry, because it is not just about UAE. I think it's a global problem. As you can see, even globally, they are not less than us. They are equal like us as well. We try our all initiative, to help them and to support the people. There are lots of now, thank you very much. Sorry, because I have some medical condition I suffer from. Thank you. So we are not different than the other part of the world. As you've seen the data, of global data of the world obesity, we are equally, like other people in the world. We're maybe slightly more than this. There's lots of initiative that we do, and I think there are many of facilities available here, even to improve the type of fruits and vegetables that we have. Now in Sharjah, at least our, leaders had advocated for even organic food. So I think people have no excuse, and it's also at affordable price compared to the prices usually of the organic fruits and vegetables.
Thank you. My next question is, how much of this is a consequence of obesity rather than causal to obesity in terms of exercise and things like that? Are people exercising less because of obesity? Because most of it is cross-sectional rather than being causal to obesity. You can say people are not active, but they're not active because they have obesity and overweight.
I think that's a very difficult question, doctor, to answer, because there are multifactorial which is responsible for the obesity, as you have seen. So I think it's I don't know if Sara or Dr. Hadad, do you have any comment, or our international speaker, Noor? Sara, you can comment on this.
Good morning, Shahrad. That's not fair for first thing in the morning. But I guess the best evidence will come from kids. And the rates in kids are quite high, which suggests there is a predisposition. As we know, in areas that have a smaller genetic pool, the predisposition is there. You're absolutely correct. Once a person develops obesity, it then affects their physical activity. I think even if there is an effect of that, they're really worrying numbers. They're things that we need to work on in Qatar, in the UAE, and in the whole region.
Thank you. But I also want to say, because Dr. Fatheya is so energetic and has been doing amazing stuff, what we need to do in this region is look at the ones who are not having obesity in the same environment and what are they doing. And we rarely look at those individuals. We concentrate on people with obesity and overweight, but who are the ones and what are they doing who don't have this problem?
Yeah.
Great suggestion.
Thank you for your input. Thank you.
Thank you. So Dr. Fatheya, thank you so much for an awesome talk. Thank you so much for all your support. Dr. Fatheya is really the queen of diabetes and endocrinology in the UAE. She has been very supportive she's part of our scientific committee, she's been very supportive on a personal level, but also as a society. We would love to give you a small memento. Somewhere.